It has been over 5 decades since a human last set foot on the moon. On the surface, the explanation seems simple: shifting budgets and fading political interest. But could there be another reason? A reason hidden in plain sight? If the testimony of anonymous insiders and decades of speculation hold any weight, then perhaps the moon is not as lifeless as we've been led to believe. From 1969 to 1972, NASA's Apollo program carried out 6 successful lunar landings. The final mission, Apollo 17, returned on December 19, 1972, marking the end of an era in space exploration. Astronauts Eugene Cernan, Harrison Schmitt, and Ronald Evans were recovered in the Pacific Ocean, their mission deemed a success. Yet despite further missions being planned, no human, American, Russian, or otherwise, has returned to the moon since. Officially, it was a matter of money and shifting priorities. Once the US had claimed victory in the space race, the enormous cost, over $20 billion, far beyond initial estimates, could no longer be justified. With no immediate payoff in resources or scientific discovery, funding dwindled. Russia too scaled back its efforts as the Cold War took new turns, and the dream of a lunar base slowly dissolved into science fiction. But probes and robotic missions continued. Countries like China, India, and the United States have all sent unmanned craft to explore different parts of the lunar surface. Many of these missions ended in crashes. Others returned limited data. Despite the technology and effort, we've learned surprisingly little about the moon in recent decades. What's more troubling are the rumors, stories shared by astronauts, hidden in transcripts, or buried in declassified files. There have been claims of strange tracks near landing sites, of unidentified flying objects seen above the moon's surface, even suggestions of artificial structures in the distance. Though often supported by poor quality images or audio files that mysteriously disappeared, the consistency in these accounts is haunting. In 2015, an anonymous Reddit post claimed to be from a British psychologist who had read classified documents about secret lunar missions. According to the story, Apollo 17's crew had discovered a wrecked spacecraft, distinctly Soviet in design with signs of violent damage. The cosmonauts on board had not died from technical failure, but from a brutal physical assault. Their helmets shattered in the same manner, their bodies left in a field of wreckage. The American crew panicked, radioed NASA for immediate evacuation, but were ordered to stay due to technical delays. During this wait, they reportedly saw figures on the surrounding hills, moving slowly toward their module. The psychologist claimed a joint UK-Russian mission in the 1980s attempted to return to the site. But that expedition too ended in disaster. Observers allegedly watched helpless as contact with the crew was lost after an unexplained attack near the crash site. Some believe that the moon is littered with remnants of secret missions. The Russian government is suspected of having concealed the deaths of cosmonauts and redacted personnel records. Amateur radio enthusiasts have claimed to intercept frantic transmissions from doomed crews orbiting the moon, broadcasts that were never officially acknowledged. There are even stories tied to Apollo 10. Astronauts Gene Cernan and John Young reported eerie whistling sounds, what they described as space music, coming from the surface. NASA later dismissed it as interference from the spacecraft's communication systems, but the mystery lingers. Apollo 15 crew members claimed to have seen uniform tracks at the base of Mount Hadley. Though they had a lunar rover, the tracks allegedly extended beyond their known path. And then there's Apollo 11, the mission that captured the world's imagination. Only days into their journey, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin reported an object following them. It was metallic, cylindrical, and appeared to emit light. NASA suggested it was likely debris from the rocket, but Armstrong's later communications suggested otherwise. After landing on the moon, a 2-minute blackout occurred in the official transmission. During that window, Armstrong supposedly used a secondary channel to report metallic structures at the edge of a crater, some of which seemed to lead underground. He claimed to have seen parked crafts, resembling vehicles, lined up beside them. Though Armstrong took several photos, these were never released. He reportedly told Mission Control that he felt observed and feared the scientific instruments he had deployed would be removed. Later, in private conversations, Armstrong is said to have confirmed the sightings, expressing concern that we were being warned off the moon. These accounts are unsettling, even more so when tied to the sudden deaths of high-profile whistleblowers. In 2018, Bob Dean, a former U.S. Army Sergeant Major, passed away. Dean had long claimed that NASA destroyed dozens of rolls of Apollo film showing alien activity. He also alleged that a classified report had assessed the threat posed by extraterrestrials, including recovered craft and autopsy results. Days after Dean's death, Carl Wolf, a former Air Force sergeant, died in a traffic accident under suspicious circumstances. Wolf had testified that in 1965, he was shown images of artificial structures, domes, towers, even entire cities, on the far side of the moon while working with NASA's Lunar Orbiter project. He was shocked when none of the findings were made public. In 2001, Wolf joined 20 other ex-military and intelligence officials in a press event, revealing what he had seen. His claims were detailed, specific, and have never been fully discredited. Recent images from lunar probes continue to show anomalies: lights where none should be, geometric formations, and structures miles high. Some researchers go further, suggesting that the moon is not even a natural satellite, but a shell covering something artificial, a massive alien spacecraft or monitoring station. This is the core of the hollow moon theory, bolstered by seismic data from the Apollo missions. When Apollo 12's ascent module was intentionally crashed into the surface, the moon rang like a bell, reverberations lasting over an hour. To believers, this is evidence of vast hollow chambers beneath the crust. As we examine these stories, some confirmed, many denied, it's clear that something unusual happened during the Apollo era. NASA has offered explanations for some anomalies, but has also allowed key evidence to vanish, leaving us with questions. Of course, space travel takes a toll. The psychological strain on astronauts, combined with unknown variables in equipment, limitations could explain much. Illusions, stress responses, technical failures, all plausible. And yet, the human imagination remains fixed on the possibility that we are not alone. Maybe the moon has been occupied for longer than we think. Maybe the warnings are real. And as our species prepares to return, armed with better technology and greater ambition, we must ask what or who will be waiting for us.